Welcome back to my Mandalorian review series, where today I'm taking another look at the best episode of Season 3, Episode 7, called The Spies. Now, before I get into my video, I need to say a massive thank you for the love that I got on my most recent short that I made for Maul Shadow Lord, because it was a short about Ahsoka pointing something out and then it coming back in Maul Shadow Lord. And I got over 100,000 views as of the time of recording. It might be more at this point, but so many views, so many likes, so many comments, and I saw a whole bunch of subscribers added to the subscriber count. So thank you so much for that. That was really nice to see. Anyway, I remember back in 2023, by the time that this episode came out, well, Star Wars Celebration 2023 was right around the corner, but a lot of people were not looking forward to more Mandalorian because at this point, Season 3 had been extremely disappointing, had been all over the place, underwhelming. We just had the absolute worst episode with the Lizzo and Jack Black episode. And I remember talking to a couple of people just before this episode aired, just before people at Celebration even saw it. And they were just like, yeah, I don't know what to expect from this. But then on day one of Celebration, they announced that we would actually get to see the episode right there for all the people who were present. So considering I was there, I could have gone to see the episode, but I didn't. Because I actually missed the announcement. I was not aware that they were going to show it there, but it's what it is. I watched the episode a few days later. It's not the biggest deal because I've seen it now. And I also remember talking to a couple of people the day after they had seen it at Celebration, and they were talking like, this is all of a sudden where this season comes together. This is the best episode, and they were just so praising of this episode that I was very curious, like, is it gonna actually live up to the hype? And when I finally saw it, and when I just saw it again, I'm like, yeah, no, it was worth that hype. It actually is a great episode, one of the best episodes of the series, I would say. And it just starts off with the opening scene where Katan actually contacts Gideon and talks about the fact that they were the ones behind the pirates. And all of the sudden, so many episodes, so many storylines in this season started to click together where it's like, oh, that makes a whole lot of sense now. Now, look, I still don't care for the pirate storyline whatsoever. And the things that I said in my review of episode 5 and also a bit of 1 is still very valid. But I was happy that at least they tied that together and it wasn't just a throwaway storyline, even though I think they could have done so many different things, but it's what it is. But I was just happy to see that connectivity because suddenly episodes 1, 3, and 5, because also 3 was a lot of Katan and Pershing on Coruscant, where initially people were like, how is this connected? Well, there you go. That's how it's connected. Now, I already said that I actually do like episode 3 a lot, and I like episode 3 even more knowing this connective tissue, but yeah, it still has one of the lowest ratings on IMDb, so there's that. But easily the best part, the best scene of this episode, of this season, and one of the best scenes of the entire show, I think, is the Shadow Council. When Gideon talks to all these old Imperial warlords, it's just beautiful to hear all these characters talk, especially because there are a bunch of Easter eggs as well. Most notably, Captain Pallaeon. Now, for the people who have not read the Heir to the Empire trilogy, first of all, you should. It's a great trilogy. And Captain Pallaeon is one of Thrawn's closest associates. So the fact that they once again talk about Thrawn, that we have Captain Pallaeon here in live action talking about Thrawn, about his return, about the fact that he is going to return to the galaxy in a very similar vein like Heir to the Empire, it's set up for a canonized version of Heir to the Empire, and we're probably going to see it in live action, whether that is in TV form or a movie. I don't care. I am here for it because the Heir to the Empire trilogy, even though it's Legends at this point, it's not canon, it's still great. I've actually read it twice. Like, I liked it so much the first time I needed to read it again. That was like, oh my god, if we're gonna get that in movie or TV version, yes please. And I'm not the only person who's looking forward to that. There are so many people who've been begging for this ever since the sequel trilogy came out, because people like in my opinion, unjustly hated on the sequels because they didn't have Thrawn and it was an heir to the Empire. Well, it's because it's set in a different time period, but it seems like we're actually gonna get it now. So like, just be patient sometimes and wait for good things to come, because we might actually get a canonized version of Heir to the Empire now. I will say, of course, considering all the characters involved in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, we might not get everyone, because I think a DH Luke, Han, Leia, and Lando, and whoever else appears is going to be very, very expensive and not realistic. But I do think they're going to do something similar, which is just a very cool story. So just the promise of that made me so excited, and it still makes me excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because I have the feeling that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is at least going to set that up in the same way that effectively it's like the first Iron Man. It's its own story initially, but at the very end of the movie, we're just gonna tease what's to come in the next movie, if we get a next movie, and I really hope so, because at this point, it's not looking great for the Mandalorian and Grogu in terms of box office, and it does need to make money, but that's a discussion for another time. Another Easter egg that we actually see in this scene is Brendol Hux, father of Armitage Hux, played by Domhnall Gleeson, that we know from the sequel trilogy. And what's funny is that Domhnall Gleeson's brother actually plays Brendol Hux, his father. It's a little weird if you think about it, but it's cool that they actually got a family relative to play, a family relative, so that at least there is some connectivity in that regard. And if you are interested to see more about Brendol Hux, well, not see, but read books like Phasma. Also, there are more books I think he appears in. I'm not 100% sure. It's all on Wikipedia, so look that up. But if you're more interested in this character, he does appear in canon. And I've at least read Phasma, where I remember him being a real piece of shit, let's be fair. Anyway, once the title is shown, we then actually see all the Mandalorian forces gather on Navarro, and it's very cool to see all of these Mandalorians team up together and get ready to take back Mandalore, because it's really what all of this season, all of this show has been building up towards. Like, get back Mandalore. After all the shit that happened, you kind of need to, and it's really just cool to see all of them together. Like, this episode reminded me why I like The Mandalorian, because it's just cool to see a bunch of Mandalorians kick some ass. It's simple, but it's cool, Also, one of the funniest things is when Grogu gets IG-12 now, not 11, but 12. Like, him just running around and then screaming yes, no, left, right, and center. It always puts a smile on my face. But the Mandalorian fleet goes to Mandalore, they land on the planet, and there they are greeted by more Mandalorians, including Warlock from Top Gun Maverick. Look, I know that Charles Parnell is in more things, but I was obsessed with Maverick at the time, so I very much recognized him as that. Bo-Katan actually finally explains what happened with the Darksaber, how she lost it to Gideon, and here is where I feel they missed an opportunity, because they probably should have shown a flashback as she was talking, like have her voice over while there is a flashback of what really happened between them, because I think that could have been cool. It's very much the rule of show, don't tell, because in this case it's just telling, and it's like, we could have seen a bit more, but at least we get an explanation. That's something. Also, Grogu has another very cute moment where he breaks up Axe Wolves and Paz Vizsla, because of course those two would get in a fight. Like, there is so much masculine energy between those two from the moment that they are on screen together. And yeah, of course they fight, but Grogu breaks it up. That's very cute. And then they continue on their way a little bit until they face a giant monster which destroys their vehicle, and that just conveniently lands them exactly at the place where they needed to be. Look, I'm going to forgive this writing convenience, because it's like, yeah, let's just continue with the plot. Let's be fair, The Mandalorian has never been the most outstanding writing of any Star Wars show. I'll leave that to Andor. At least they get to where they need to go, and they instantly get attacked by Gideon's forces, who are now wearing Beskar armor. And that leads them into Gideon's base, where we also see Gideon in his Beskar armor. And Honestly, the action is very cool at this point. The designs of the Beskar armor for the Imperials, especially Gideon, is very cool. It's just, you know, it's cool, it's fun, it's good action. Again, the writing is nothing really to write home about, but this is what I really liked about The Mandalorian and what I kind of missed in previous episodes. Just Mandalorians looking cool, doing cool things, kicking some ass. Yes! Thank you. At least this episode remembers what the series was in the first place, and we got it again. And then especially Paz Vizsla's final stand, where he's like, okay, you go. I'm just gonna use my gun and spray these fools. And then when he has done that, the Praetorian Guard show up. Again, a great way to incorporate some fan service. And it's like, yes, all of this works. It's awesome. I love to see all of this, and it's, yeah, like, it very much reminded me why I liked The Mandalorian in the first place. Again, this episode is not even close to what Andor ever was, because Andor is a very different beast in that regard. But Andor, I feel, is not as, like, fun. Like, Andor is more high-level type of entertainment with really good writing and filmmaking overall, but it's not just cool, fun Star Wars-y stuff. Like, most of the time, Andor actually doesn't feel exactly like Star Wars. The Mandalorian is peak Star Wars in that regard. At least they remember what Star Wars simply is, you know, with fun action and Mandalorians doing cool stuff and cool things happening, and it's like, sometimes you just want that, and that's exactly what this episode gives you. And in addition to that, we got a couple of cool things in terms of setting up a potential Heir to the Empire movie. And I feel this is what everyone kind of liked about The Mandalorian. You know, Mandalorians doing cool stuff, getting into cool action sequences with an okay-ish storyline that you can follow easily, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm along for the ride. Cool. That's what I want from The Mandalorian, and that's what I really felt again with this episode. After so many episodes of just, what are we doing? I have no idea what it's leading up towards, and are the Mandalorians really doing cool shit? And why do we have Pizza the Hut and Jack Black and Lizzo in this? I don't know, I don't care, it's in the past now. I'm gonna focus on this great episode, The Spies. I really enjoyed this episode. This is easily the best episode of this season, one of the best episodes of the show. And I think I've said enough now, so let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think of episode 7 of The Mandalorian? Let me know in the comments below. Please leave a like on the video and subscribe to my channel for more Star Wars content. Once again, thank you so much for the amount of views, the amount of comments, the amount of likes that I got on that short that I made. I did not expect to get well over 100,000 views on that short, but as of right now, it's over 100,000. It might be more by the time this video actually goes out, but at the time of recording, I have hit just over 100,000, and that was pretty damn cool to see. So thank you so much for that. And of course, until my next video, may the Force be with you.